I think, one, I attribute it to the hardworking nature of the Chinese people. If you know very well, in the 1960s, China's GDP was lower than some of the African countries. For example, Malawi, Kenya, they were richer than China. But now you don't even compare how they have reached. So one, it is the hardworking nature of the Chinese people. But secondly, I think I attribute it to the CPC policies, the Communist Party of China, the good policies that have made the country develop so fast. But also, more important is the continuity of the leadership, because CPC has been in power for a long time to ensure that the policies, the implementation goes on and on, rather than in other countries where they tell us that every 5 years we have to change leadership. This is quite different. We see that continuity of leadership of CPC has resulted into the economic development that we are seeing. So I think it's an amalgamation of all those people, good policies. We have good leadership of the CPC, but also what I had probably not mentioned is the participation of the people, the will of the people, because the government alone cannot succeed without partnership with the people. So I think all those make China succeed to be where it is. But also the policies we are talking about of the CPC, fight against corruption. I think President Xi Jinping has played a big role in the fight against corruption, because when you see in most of the African countries, our economies collapse because of corruption. The leadership, they steal the money. But in China, they've done a lot to fight corruption. And this is why most of the resources that come within government coffers, they are put to good use. And this is the development that we're seeing now.
I think Africa have many lessons that can be learned from China, because when you see the economic development of China is not backed from many years ago. It's like 20 or 30 years ago. China was almost at the same standards, at the same level as Africa we are today, but now it is among developed countries. Yes, what we can learn from there is that working hard pays. Chinese, they are where they are because they worked hard. When I'm saying working hard, it means in each sector. For example, if you are a teacher, you need to be committed to what you are doing. If you are a trader or a businessman, you need to be committed in what you are doing. When you do agriculture, you need to be committed. What I have seen in Africa that we need to learn from China is that Africans, sometimes we don't love what we are doing. Chinese, they love what they do. That's why you will see that in the past we used to say that Chinese are working day and night. Because they work hard, they don't have enough time to rest, and they need to work hard until when they achieve what they want. So I think simply in one word, what Africans can learn from China is working hard. Yeah. Working hard pays, and Chinese, they reached the level where they are today because they worked hard. Yeah.
Something that we have in common with Rwanda and China, you put the people, put your people first, ensure that you are working to make them happy in their day-to-day life so that they don't have to struggle. That's the basic that each country should learn as a good practice from the People's Republic of China, and also be open for collaborations. There is no single country that is going to lock itself without collaborating with others. So when there are possibilities and you have countries, big countries like China, opening their doors for you to access all that they have in different sectors, aeronautics, education, medicine, infrastructure, those are possibilities that you have to take. And also I believe there are also things that we deliver as well, we put on the plate. We have our own way of living that can also inspire China. So it's a win-win situation. It's one of the most supportive government that I have seen, because they get to know the person at a very personal level. When we reached Beijing in 2002, I was very happy to see that they knew my name, they knew where I was coming from, they knew the time that I was going to be arriving, and all the people that I was going to get involved with, they were also aware that there is a Rwandan who has arrived in Tianjin. He doesn't speak the language, he's going to enroll in a degree to do medicine and many things. So there are a lot of opportunities that we should take. A life of a country, it's a broad term. It means different sectors, but all it's evolving around the governance and the leadership that you have in place. So in China, the enabling factor or the enabling system that was in place is the CPC, Chinese Communist Party, that ensure that all these sectors are interconnected, that they are accountable to the people that they have to make happy and to support out of poverty, to support, to access high level of education, high level of medical care that can be provided in those respective countries. It's like a father in the house, but also a father who is not there to dictate what should be done, but a father who is able to listen to the people and be able to implement what the people wish to have in their day-to-day life. I would say it's comparable to what we have in Rwanda as the leading party in Rwanda, the RPF. And I'm very happy on a private note to mention that I always feel happy to see both systems connected and collaborating in day-to-day life.
Yes, there's a lot I think we can learn from China. As I told you, some of the African countries had a better economy than China some 50 years back. But now China is far ahead. It's the second largest country in the world. It's the second largest economy in the world. So we ask ourselves, what happened? You know, what went wrong? So first of all, the leadership, as we were saying. If you have good leadership, if you have people-centered leadership, if you have pro-people policies, good policies that implement all the development strategies, I think Africa has to learn a lot from China. And this, what I see, the cooperation between China and Africa can help us a lot to get the benefits, you know. If you saw in the past 3 years, during the COVID pandemic, China played a very big role to support African countries to come out of this pandemic. At least we saw some of the developed countries that were not willing to even share the vaccines, because in Africa we're not manufacturing vaccines. But China played a very big role to support African countries, and I think this is, they brought their experts and shared experience with the African experts. I think there's a lot that we can learn from Chinese in order to develop the infrastructure development. We are having Chinese companies in Africa. I think all these issues we have, for example, here in Rwanda, we have got 2 hospitals, Masaka Hospital and Ngoma Hospital, which are run by Chinese doctors working together with Rwandans. I think from that we learn from them, we learn from each other, and I think this can help us also to look at the path that the Chinese people have used to develop themselves so quickly, and we can also do the same. Poverty alleviation is something that is very important and pertinent to the African continent. Most of our countries are still poor. So if we see China has made it in just 1 generation, so it means that even African countries, we can do it. It is possible. The issue is the leadership. The issue is people participation. The issue is to know that we are able. It can be done. So I think these are things that we can learn from the Chinese people in order to develop.
It's a difficult question to answer. I think every country has its own path to follow in development, but Africa can learn a lot about infrastructure, about technology, but most importantly, I believe, about governance. I think what China has shown in terms of governance is a heavy lesson, and the Communist Party has proven that a well-governed country can do miracles. So I think it's the biggest lessons that we can learn.